So usually consultation will start with a little chat with the homeowners, and basically what's going to happen is I hear about their story, and if there is any concerns or topics they want to talk about, I'm going to make a list about it. After that, we talk about, I'm going to have a look at the plans and look at the orientation and the layout, make some general comments there. After that, we talk about the thermal envelope of the building. And after that, we talk about the services and how the building is going to function. The type of people that usually comes to me are very broad. Like I see from like someone who is renting a house to a $10 million house being built. So the range is kind of extreme. I have people who are very specialized and they want to be bang for buck and they're looking for being eco-friendly. Some people, they're more focus on good design and good detailing. Some people, they don't want any formaldehyde in all the building construction, so we're looking at very organic materials. It's quite diverse. It's quite diverse. So yeah, I see quite a bit. And then people have their own interest, so that's always a challenge. But yeah, very interesting. And budget is quite an interesting topic too. Quite often people don't really talk too much about it, so I make a point of making sure, this is part of the discussion. Sometimes I feel like people don't even know what they want, and it's a bit up to me to dig and to figure out exactly what they mean, because quite often they will use some vocabulary that are not necessarily what they mean. And a typical example is someone who comes to me and then he went on a super home tour and he's like, oh, underfloor heating, I want underfloor heating. And then they show me the design and there's like carpet everywhere. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. You can't put like insulation onto your heating device. So if you want underfloor heating, you'll have to have like polished concrete, or maybe 50% of your floor area. And then people starting to think, and they're like, oh, but no, I really want carpet. I'm like, okay, so maybe underfloor heating is not necessarily what you want. What you mean is you want central heating. You want heating everywhere, distributed evenly. And here there is a lot of options you can choose where you can have carpet. And then so it's just about, understanding what's the meaning behind a word, and then making sure we actually speaking the same language. It's quite an interesting part of the job. Absolutely.
Exchanging knowledge and skills and getting in front of more people than I can as one person. I can only talk to one client at a time. But with the super home tours, I was able to talk to 50 people per day or even more, and that was just fantastic. And just telling them what can be done and how a house feels like when you walk through it with all the air quality and warmth and coziness and health. It was just such a great opportunity for me as a designer that I really embraced for many, many years, and I had quite a few houses on the tours, and I was absolutely happy to spend my weekends there and just tell people what can be done, how it is done, and what kind of benefits are in a super home.
We have a real passion just for healthy homes. We come from a client-centric approach, and so the client's first in everything. So we don't design houses for ourselves, we design them for our clients, which sounds great, but our industry is rife with people who just use clients to live out their architectural dreams. To me, I want to see people realize their dreams, which in turn makes me very happy. And then overlaid over that is we can create really awesome, healthy outcomes by making good decisions in design. And that's probably the area of education that's really society in general does not grasp or does not want to grasp. Like even when you present it with them, they don't necessarily want to hear it. I just want the basic. I just want the code minimum. That's fine for me. I'm not worried about, yeah, I know about respiratory and asthma and mold and that, but we've got, it's, whatever. So there's a bit of a thing there that we're on a bit of a crusade there. Our tagline is changing lives through great architecture and design.
Joining the Super Home movement's been great for business, not only because what I want to do is educate clients, help educate our staff, educate the subcontractors around us, but of course that is the end goal, is creating better homes and healthier homes for people to live in. That's the most important thing for me. Where we've gone is down a rabbit hole where there's lots of different solutions and products available across the board for everyone to learn about. So learning about that has been a great adventure for us.
The design becomes the fundamental part of the build. When we talk to homeowners who want to start their build process, they don't quite know what's important. So that's where we guide people to come talk to organizations like Superhome to understand what's best solutions that they can consider throughout the journey. Building a house is not easy. What I think it can be overwhelming for homeowners is you don't know which is the most important part. And my suggestion would be the part that you can't see, which is design, which is structure, the things you can't change later. So you can change the color of the kitchen later, but you cannot change what goes into your wall, into your structure. Whilst those are actually the fundamental part of your house that needs to be decided at the get-go. So to participate into the home tours like Super Home Tour would give you opportunity to see houses that's in the mid-build and talk to designers who understand those concepts before you get to the latest stage of painting the wall, choosing the color of your kitchen, because those are the things you can have a say, whilst the professionals in the design process and builders, they would have better recommendations in the stuff that we don't see normally.
So I think a lot of it is just around conversations, and obviously those conversations can be supported by good education. So things like what Superhome's proposing here is beneficial in that it's a tool for me that I can point people to. It's a tool where people, when they're searching online, because we all do it now, we look online before we talk to anyone. So think about how our habits have changed in the last 20 years. Nobody would ever trust information from a website 20 years ago. They would want a personal referral and talk to 5 people who know what they're talking about before they even jump on a computer. And now we don't even ask anybody for validation. We literally go online and make a decision before we talk to another human, which is useful because we can work with that and provide that information online for them. So yeah, and I also think there's an openness though. So although there are lots of barriers, there's always barriers, and we can focus on the barriers. But I think society in general is becoming more aware of what's out there. I think in the last 10 years, or say 10, 15 years ago, if I'd thrown SIPS panels or ICF insulated concrete formwork, blockwork, and stuff in front of clients, they would be really concerned about this revolutionary new untested technology, even though you're telling them that it's been used overseas for years. Now they're coming to me and saying, I would like to use this product. And I'm just like, hallelujah.
I think for PVC, it's a little bit less of a novelty compared to what it was 5-6 years ago. And when we first did home shows in Christchurch, people would kind of come up and tap on the glass and go, "Oh, gee, that sounds just like glass." And you go, "Yeah, it is." It's the frame that's PVC. We've now got people coming up and asking, "Hey, what are the R values of your window?" So that's the measure, that when the homeowner's getting engaged in the design and understanding, we're starting to get significant shift. So the conversations now, people are well-travelled, certainly travelled people and Europeans are well familiar with PVC products. They're often quite pleased to see the inwards opening tilt and turn style because they're familiar with it and they perhaps understand the benefits in terms of cleaning windows on multi-storey buildings and some of those kind of secondary benefits, as well as recognising the warmth and the air tightness. And probably the most surprising conversation that homeowners have with us is the acoustic performance of those frames as well. So a softer material, a better glass, people are surprised how their home becomes quieter to live in. So that's interesting. And then I think people starting to think a little bit more about how the window performs in the building envelope. So often if they're thinking about warmer walls and roofs and floors, at some point they stumble into, okay, how do we, the window's a big hole in the wall, how do we make that as efficient as we can? And the simple physics becomes at some point reasonably obvious to them. And so if you can have that conversation, which is a conversation I had this afternoon, exactly that, you get these clients who have the time, they're taking the time to understand, they recognise the code is not sufficient, they want to build above it because they realise there's a better world out there. But they also know that at the moment, to do that, they're going to have to put some time into education and understanding. So again, going back to that, the ecosystem, it's about finding the right people that they can trust and have the right conversation, and the story is consistent. And it's, that's a very enjoyable conversation to have with homeowners.
In New Zealand, because of our nice big low population density, wide open spaces, we just think, I come from Taranaki. A lot of my clients are retired dairy farmers. They've come from 200 hectares. They want a big house in town. And I'm like, it's just you and Mrs. Farmer. You need about 100 square meters and we'll give you a big shed, mate. We'll give you a big shed. But they want 400 square meters and somebody's got to clean it, somebody's got to heat it. It's crazy. So I think that's a real area of education, just a area of conversation and understanding what people's needs. One of the conversations I've always had with clients is this house for you or for the next person? And sometimes you get a funny look. And I said, what I mean by that is, are you planning to flick this in 3 years and play the property game? So that's cool. I says, that's a different set of rules to if you plan that to be here for 7 to 10 years. Because if you're going to be here 7 to 10 years, I'd be encouraging you to invest in yourselves, not necessarily for the next person. And so that conversation can sometimes allow us to make better choices. The reality is when you're trying to improve the building stock, full stop, even if it's a short-term decision, we should still be trying to do better.
Really, it's just a home that's 160 square metres with the garage included. That is about 125 square metres of home, which we believe is plenty for us. It has 3 bedrooms, one of which my mum comes and stays 4 times a year. And that's often the case nowadays. We build homes based on previous expectations and often based on what a real estate agent might have told us, that we need 4 bedrooms and we need big sizes. But really, when it all comes down to it, mum comes to stay 4 times a year. That room doesn't need to be elaborate. And when she comes, we love having her here, but she's not really worried about spending time in that room. So we were content to build a home that has compressed amenities, that has smaller things that really don't matter, but the things that do matter, we really wanted to make a big thing of. And that's what the super home movement has led us and refined our thinking around what essentially is the important part of the home.
So with the Super Home certification guide and with the principles that Super Home push, generally speaking, you need to just look at that, all of those things up front, early on. If you're working with a designer that's familiar with the principles or with higher performance homes, then they'll be aware and they'll be pushing it early on. But if you're working with someone who hasn't done it before, then that's fine. We've got all the information's there, but you really just need to get it in and get it designed up front. It's a lot more difficult and a lot more costly to try and put a ventilation system in down the line if it hasn't been designed for it, whether it's ventilation or any of the fundamentals of the home. So yeah, specifically services though, get them designed in up front. We can help with that, but yeah, up front is critical.
And obviously with the super home movement, you've got designers and builders who are comfortable with those products. If you go to your Joe Bloggs builder who's never done a high performance house and a designer who's never drawn up anything other than spec houses, then they're going to really struggle with delivering that. So I think getting those connections between the design community, the build community, and the punter out there who's interested, and probably education around you getting the right people on your team, I think is really, really important. And that dovetails quite nicely with the whole super home thing anyway.
And in general terms, there's a great bunch of builders here in Christchurch and throughout New Zealand. They're qualified, they're very capable tradesmen. If they don't understand the principles of super home, of how to achieve high performance and energy efficiency, they may not understand the need to put attention into some details. And while they're doing a great job building, they may not understand things like thermal bridging, where cold transfers through steel or conductive surfaces to the interior and then creates a problem with temperature control, with the need for depth of insulation, or to eliminate any gaps around the insulation.
There are plenty of tools out there available for clients and even builders or other subcontractors to gain knowledge on how to do better. Once you know how to do better, you do better, and that's the great thing. I know that's what I want anyway, is I don't want to be mediocre or just do the average. So that's what our business strives for, is to be better than we were yesterday. The houses that we build, each one should be better than the last one.
Yeah, I think the concept of what Bob's doing in the super home movement is just amazing. It's actually bringing mindset into how can we make these things better, as well as the affordability and design aspects of it, and just making people aware that you don't have to build big, giant, cold, leaky boxes all the time. You can make your design amazing. You can make it affordable, and you can make it for future generations to live in your house is to be less affordable to run, warm, dry, healthy, all those factors, and it's not too scary to do, and that's where the amazing thing of super home movement is.
and it's a technology that only the architects who understand thermal bridging and who put a emphasis on that will change. And so, just over recent years, this is the way the industry has started to change. And now it's recognised, the building code recognises that if you're using LVL framing, you don't have to have horizontal dwangs, provided that you're using a 140 depth of framing. No dwangs are required. But whether that comes through into the design, the architect has to also understand that. And he also has to be committed to wanting to improve the performance of the home.